Welcome to Early Care Connection. I'm Izzy Greenberg. Today we will be joined by our usual panel of experts, Ava Bermuda Zimmerman from the the Child Care for Connecticut's Future campaign, and Meryl Gay from the Connecticut Early Childhood Alliance. Today, we also are joined by Sherri Sutera from the United Way, who's going to give us a presentation on some new information that they have. So actually, we've got Valerie Grant and Sherri Sutera here as our guests. This presentation, I don't expect will take very long. We had sort of also intended for the Office of Early Childhood and DCF to be back on this morning, but we've been having a hard time scheduling that, as you've heard. So that is in the works, should be in the next week or two. And so we'll do just this beginning section, a few reminders, and then everybody can be on their way today. So just a reminder to Sherri and Valerie to speak slowly for Spanish language interpretation, and for folks to put communication with each other in the chat or technical difficulties, and any questions for our panelists into the Q&A. So I am going to just turn it right over to Sherri and Valerie now, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're excited. I wanted to just talk about our newest report that 201 Childcare has done. We have historically done a capacity, availability, and enrollment survey. And we've done that for years and years. And then we did not do it during the pandemic, simply because a lot of programs were temporarily closed and OEC had changed, capacity temporarily. So we did not do that. But now we've done another full study, and we wanted to report out on it. So all of this is available on our 201 Childcare website. And I did send out a press release, I think a couple weeks ago, with more information on it. And just by going on our website, and we'll share that link in the chat also. Okay, Valerie, next slide. Okay, so what we did was we went from September 1st. So usually the best time for us to do these capacity surveys is right after Labor Day. So because all of summer, everyone's at different enrollments. So we collected this information from September, when we wrapped it up in January. And what we did was we surveyed childcare programs, all center-based programs, legally operating center-based programs, both exempt and licensed, and all licensed family childcare home providers. So we did do the survey a couple of ways. We did a telephone survey. So we would contact providers. And so we made numerous calls to programs to collect this data. We also sent out by email an electronic survey for them to fill out if they want to do so electronically. So we also got information from childcare providers. 211 Childcare has a provider portal, and providers can go in and access their provider profile page, and they can directly enter into it data related to their capacity, availability, and openings status. We also got information, which we always use, from OEC licensing. So 201 Childcare uses all the live feed from OEC licensing, and that's where we get legally operating capacity for programs. So we take all that directly from OEC and then work with programs and how they're going to allocate those slots and by age groups. We received data from about 63% of respondents, not as high as previous years, but I'll attribute a lot of that to survey fatigue. So probably had about a little over 50% response rate from center-based programs, and closer to 80% for home-based programs. And they gave us the information. So those are the information that we used. So how we did our calculations and methodology, again, so we used OEC licensing. And basically what we did was we took, if it's a center-based program, the infant toddler endorsement. So that's how we attributed slots to the infant and toddler programs for center-based programs. For family childcare home providers, we used also the under 2 capacity, or the infant and toddler capacity for family childcare home providers. the balance typically for preschool, and then the 3 school age slots before and after. So programs directly reported to us how they used those slots. And that's where we'll find that we use the program reported distribution. An example of that would be if a family child care home provider decided not to take infants and toddlers and they reported all 6 of their full-time slots were for preschool, we would actually move those slots over to preschool. And then what we did was we crunched all the numbers from the programs that have provided us data, and we came up with some formulas, and we projected those formulas onto programs that did not respond to us. And in our methodology statement, if you go on the website, it really talks about how we came up with the formula and what we used. And so you can see more about that. We actually, when we did the formulas for center-based programs, we actually used different center sizes. So we mirrored what was in the narrow cost analysis for what is a small, medium, and large. So we really tailored the formula to be as accurate as possible. So what we'll talk about today is our data definitions. And I think you guys have heard us talk about this previously, and I think most people on the call understand sort of how we went about it, but we have legally authorized capacity. So when you see legally authorized capacity, that is what they are legally authorized to take, whether by the OEC, a licensing division, or if it's an exempt-based program, what they report through the municipality or the Board of Education. We then break it down to actual capacity. So actual capacity is what we like to think is truly offered and available in Connecticut. So what we do is we take the sum of all their reported openings and their enrollments, and then we derive what the actual capacity is. So for example, if a program, center-based program is legally licensed for 100 slots, when we reach the program and they tell us they have enrolled 50 children in those 100 slots, and then they tell us they only have 25 more vacancies. So in that instance, using that example, their actual capacity is 75. They are choosing or by virtue of other issues, not being able to operate at the 100. So they are reporting a total combined enrollment and vacancy of 75. So that's what actual capacity is when we read about that. And then we have shown in the map that you'll see and in our reporting, we are showing by town the percent of actual versus authorized capacity. And then we go by openings percent. And when we do that, what we are actually doing is of the actual capacity, how many openings are there off of that number? And again, we'll show you the map, and there's detail that we can break down for you. Overall, we found that there's about 76% of actual capacity being offered compared to what's legally authorized. Next slide. So here we go again. So, with 74% of programs are actually operating at authorized capacity. So what that really tells us in Connecticut, that almost 1 in 4 slots are not actually being offered or utilized. And why we felt that was important, particularly as we look at all the work, the great, amazing work and report of the Blue Ribbon panel, why we thought that was really important when we talk about capacity building in the state of Connecticut. We're really encouraging planners and stakeholders and everyone involved to say, there's a couple of reasons or ways that we can approach building capacity. And we just want to encourage everyone to think about anything that's not currently being offered, but actually legally available, to maybe focus on what resources and support should we provide to those programs so that they can operate at authorized capacity. And in some towns, and we'll see, and there's childcare deserts, the best way to approach increasing capacity would actually be to build more capacity. Either, recruit more licensed family childcare home providers to the field in that town, work with them to maybe onboard assistants so that they can expand their offerings for the younger children. And in some towns, it's a matter of workforce. It's a matter of maybe facility improvements. for them to be able to operate at full capacity. So sometimes it's less expensive to provide a program with resources so that they can really operate at full capacity versus something new of building a new brick and mortar. So that's what we just wanted to be able to provide some underlying data for people to really make those decisions for planning efforts. And you'll see when we look at the map, actual versus authorized slots ranged anywhere from 40 to 100%. It just really matters by town and how large the town is and what they have available. And also we found that openings percentage ranged from 0 to 44%. And then you can see by the table, we broke it down by age groups just for a quick summary. So you can really see it does fluctuate by age group. And what we really found to be very glaring was school age capacity. And we found that a lot where programs are legally authorized to have school age children there, but many don't accept or provide care for school age children, even though their license allows them to do that. Next slide. So here's just a snapshot of what the interactive map looks like. And there's all sorts of ways to filter it. So this way everyone can go into their own town and you can filter it by the percentage of opening, which again is what we had talked about, of how many openings out of the actual capacity. And then you can see each town, the percent of actual versus authorized. You can filter it by homes, by centers. You can do by all the different age groups. You can do it, I think, by zip code. And we show you the percents for each town. So what we also are going to do a next iteration of this map, and we're going to add in nursery schools. So we're going to make another page for nursery schools. Nursery schools are the part day enrichment program. So that in the overall percent of the 74%, we have we report out on a nursery school as factored into all of that, but it's not pulled into all the towns because we didn't want to skew information for the part day enrichment for actually the full day childcare component. So do we have any other slides, Valerie?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Do you want to maybe do a live demo of the map and we can just show people how to navigate that and how the filters are?
Can you see it? Did it go into view?
I can, yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we see it.
Great. What would you like to look at?
Why don't we do percent of actual versus authorized for a child care center, and why don't we do infant toddler care?
Okay.
All right, and so I'll show them yes, so perfect. When you hover over a town, so here's Madison. So again, the actual, where are you stopping? Right there.
Sorry.
So the actual capacity is 135 children. They had 131 enrollments. They reported 4 vacancies. So the percent of vacancies to the actual capacity gave us that 3.3%. The legally authorized capacity in Madison is 144. And you see the actual capacity is 135. So they're pretty much operating at 94%, which is pretty good. If you look at other towns like maybe Waterbury or let's go to a city so we can see something. It's hard. We couldn't put the towns on the map. It was getting it too blurry. Let's look at Bridgeport, right? So here's Bridgeport. And so you can see this is 83% of their actual versus authorized capacity. So again, each town varies. And it also, again, what we're looking at is infant toddler. So you can see different age groups if you wanted to do preschool planning, see where we really have some gaps in infant toddler care, and we can really focus our efforts and look at each town. So we thought this would be very helpful. And maybe, Valerie, if you could scroll down to the data definitions, just so we could see. Yeah, so everything that we're talking about today, we have definitions. We were trying to document and give it all the definitions of everything we're using. So you'll see we define everything here. And if you scroll down, we also then can talk about, if you go into the detailed, right there, Valerie, yes, that sort of talks about the more detailed nuances of how we crunch numbers and did the projections. So if we take a look at that, we just wanted to give you a snapshot of that document. And this tells you, this is where I discuss how we use projections and data approximations to come up with information on those programs that did not report to us. So we did it again by large, small, and medium-sized programs. And we took certain percentages, and I won't go over all of this here, but just to let you know that if you go into this document, it will tell you how we use the formulas, how we assigned the capacities. You know, for instance, if a center has a under 3 endorsement, but they don't take infants, but they will take toddlers, we move that whole endorsement to the toddler age group. And if same thing with a family child care home provider. So it just talks about how we did the assignments of the age groups and moved things around and shifted them based on other programs reporting or how the programs themselves reported.
Great. And can you guys put the link to this in the chat?
Absolutely. Yep.
I think so.
So that's pretty much just an overview. I would just encourage people to go in, play around with the tool. If you have any feedback on it, we'd love to hear it. Of course, this is going to be a very agile product, so we're going to continue to enhance and refine it. And what we found was really interesting is we couldn't find another state that does this. And so we had to really work on this data visualization to do that and get accurate data. And when we were going from other states, we were trying to find out, you know, who does this and does this well, and which data system supports it. And we really weren't able to find anything out there. So, you know, I'm sharing this with Child Care Aware, which is the National Child Care Resource Referral membership organization. And then we're also working with our technology vendor to make it a little easier for us to capture and report on this. So our goal is to be able to just keep this updated in real time and continue to make it available for Connecticut. But this was quite a heavy lift for us to do this. And any help that anyone can give us, especially people on this call, of encouraging programs to respond to our survey collection efforts, and I know they're responding to so many surveys, we can have even more up-to-date and more pinpoint accurate data to report out for Connecticut.
So a follow-up question, this is just I want to make sure I'm understanding this. If a town has a license, it doesn't necessarily mean, let's say a program is licensed, but is can't find a teacher and is down a classroom. So that could be a reason why there's licensed slots that are not being used.
Izzy, absolutely. And when in the survey, when people filled out the survey, we had a lot of comments, which is exactly what it was. Numerous comments from directors. And I think we cited some of them in our press release that said, I can't hire teachers. I have a beautiful empty classroom with families that want to enroll, but I can't staff it.
Right. And so there's nothing.
That was a factor.
Is there anything in here that shows the demand that is unmet for parents? Can we, is that gone into in here, or is this really about licensing versus enrollment? This doesn't help us understand, like you might have an empty classroom, but then a waiting list. But can we understand that at all, or is that not available in this?
Well, what we have here is basically the supply side of it. The opening shows you what is available, so you will know if a program has current vacancies. And again, you know, anecdotally, because a program has a vacancy and a parent in that town needs care, if they can't afford to pay the rate,
sure,
that it's not useful for the family either. So, you know, again, there's a variety of reasons why programs are under enrolled.
Okay.
So I would say staffing is a big one. Maybe they need to do a facility improvement in one of the classrooms to be able to utilize it. And they just may not have demand from families in that area that maybe, you know, can use the schedule. Maybe they need second shift or third shift care. Or many times there are some slots, but families, when they call 211 childcare, they're like, that's just not in their budget, even with subsidies and things available. So there's a variety of reasons. What we want to do in subsequent iterations of this mapping tool and data visualization is layer in sort of the census data also. So to maybe put in some of the demand side of it. But again, you know, just because we know the number of children under 5 with working parents doesn't mean they absolutely need childcare, right? They may be using formal care, They may have split shifts where
Yeah.
one parent is available to take care of the children. So, as you all know, being in the business, it's really hard to gauge demand, because if it's available but it doesn't meet the family's needs, then we
Yeah.
can't assume they want that slot.
I mean, I could imagine, there's 1,000 layers we could put on the care for kids waiting list by town. I mean, there's just a million layers you could put that I'm not sure you have access to, all of the data, but that with all of that, when you think about all that we know, I can just think of my own town, the anecdotes I know. I can imagine why this is this way, but it's very interesting to see the whole map. Ava, you have your hand up.
You. So part of the 211 services, and I remember when I was working with childcare providers, is acknowledging who has availability and who doesn't in real time. They have the ability, right? So I'm just curious, with this mapping out, every time a provider calls in, specifically like Care for Kids providers, and say, hey, I have a availability, I have an opening. Does this map get updated? Does it reflect that real-time data that you're collecting?
This map is not real time right now, Eva.
Sure.
So it is a snapshot, and we were very clear that it is a snapshot. We are making technology changes so we can make it real time. So we are going to start the build in our next budget year so that we can do that and make it real time. When programs, they can either call us to update their opening status, or they can go right in and update it. That information is live when families search. We also, 211 Childcare has our online search engine, which gets heavy, like hundreds of thousands of searches a year on it. That is real time. So families have access to the most current information. That is if we get it from providers. So providers, we encourage them to go into their online portal. They can do it whenever it's convenient for them, and they can right then and there change. They can tell us, I just enrolled here, I have a vacancy, I can use it for a 3-year-old, or I can take one under 3, or I will have a school age opening. And families can see that. I think we update it every single night. So that is always available to families searching for childcare. It is not built into this snapshot because of all the outside formulas and work we had to do with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A segue to my question, and it came from Joanne because I was also curious. Joanne Keller asked, is there a way to tell which provider responded and which provider didn't?
We know that information. 211 Childcare, we have all the detailed breakout by program. And we've already had a lot of requests from planners, funders, philanthropy for some detailed breakout. And we will do program level information, town level information, but we're not giving out the actual names of the programs and what they discreetly reported for their individual program. So we may say, of the 10 programs in Wethersfield, 8 of the homes do this or centers. So it's labor intensive for us to break it all down, do that. But right now we're not releasing the name of the program and what they reported, because we never told the providers we were going to do that. So we're not using identifiers that way.
2 quick follow-up questions. Are family childcare included in this?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay. And what about license exempt Board of Ed classrooms?
Yes. So we have, and you'll see in all the data definitions, so we have included all legally operating center-based programs. So this is really important because, again, OEC licensing doesn't have that. So when you go on that website, that's why 211 Childcare information always has a little more information than what you'll get on e-license, because we do track all legally operating center-based programs. But again, which, this is one thing I would love to see change a little bit in Connecticut, the way that exempt center-based programs are cataloged, or they're not cataloged actually, and there's nowhere for us to really validate their capacity. So they self-report to us. We verify they're legally operating by the municipality or the Board of Ed, but they provide us direct reported information. Unlike license, we actually take it from e-license. And you find a lot of that when we have to do a lot of manual verifications. When we see what providers entered into their profile, they may have accidentally entered more information. So if for some reason a licensed family childcare home says that they have 4 enrolled preschoolers, but have 6 vacancies for infants and toddlers. We actually wiped that out and reduced it down to 2. And a center can't report that they serve more infants and toddlers than their under 3 endorsement allows. So, we do have to verify all the data that was entered. Sometimes we would call the program just to confirm with them, but we were able to use the guidelines and the guardrails of what OEC licensing does. We do not have that same opportunity with exempt-based programs because they're really not cataloged anywhere by detail of operating capacity.
Follow up here. How was the data for openings in family childcare determined?
So Family Child Cares will report. They let us know how many openings they have and for which age group. And we may get a family child care home provider that says, I'm only serving school age. I am legally, I'm licensed for 6+3, and I can take 2 infants and toddlers, but they may tell us, I don't use any infants and toddlers and I don't accept preschoolers. I just truly do not school age children before and after. So what we would then do in that instance is we would do 0 enrollments, 0 vacancies for infants and toddlers, 0 enrollments, 0 vacancies for preschoolers, and we would attribute the whole capacity to their school age program. And the same thing with some programs, a lot of homes don't take school age for a variety of reasons. Some of it is the programming, the curriculum from a baby to a school age. They may find that a more challenging, so they want to just focus on the younger children. So they may say, I do not accept school age children. They're legally authorized to take 3, but they choose not to. In that instance, we would just say that, there's 0 enrollments and 0 vacancies for that school age group in that program.
All right. Sherri, I promised you a half hour. We are at a half hour. Did you have any other things that you wanted to go over before we wrap this up?
I don't think so. Yeah. So again, have people poke around in it. We'd love your feedback, and we'll keep everyone posted when we add more functionality. Again, we want to layer in some census data in the map too. Try to identify deserts better and try to layer on the potential demand based on, working families with children under a certain age.
And there was a request to go over some of the parent side. So, maybe sometime in the next little while, folks can spend some time on this site, and then you could come back to give us a demo of kind of the parent side of it, and we could have another discussion.
We are actually, that's very timely you asked that. We are actually embedding the Elevate information into the online profiles that the public sees. We added years ago the regulation and inspection and complaint history information. So we'll be working closely with OEC as they launch their Elevate campaign, particularly for the consumer awareness. So we're so excited about that because families really have been waiting for a way to gauge the quality of programs in a very easy, digestible way for them. So we are excited about that. So absolutely, we'd love to show you the parent side.
All right, so we will keep in touch around that. And then thank you so much to Sherri and Valerie for showing us that information. I hope that our folks here will spend some time poking around that site. It is really interesting information. And when we think about what can be layered in, it also, the fact that we're doing this is already an amazing step, but it would, of course, we're always wanting more. More information, more functionality. So, play around with it and see what's missing from your standpoint. And maybe this will help to future iterations of this.
This is why we built the tool to everyone else. So absolutely, we want to build it now what we think you want to see, what you actually find useful.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Next, we've got a quick legislative update. So we've got Meryl Gay and Ava Bermuda Zimmerman here to give you guys a quick legislative update. I'm going to spotlight the 2 of you so that you can do that. All right, there you go. Thank you.
I'll let Mara, I'm faster. You know what? I'm faster. Mine is not a legislative update per se, but it is of course connected to the legislature. We have, we being Childcare for Connecticut's Future has its 3rd annual event coming up very soon, April 3rd. Remember that we thank you everyone here for letting us know that the original date we selected coincided with a Muslim holiday as well as spring break for some school systems. So we shifted our day of action to April 3rd. April 3rd, please go to Childcare FOR CT, Childcare FOR, childcare4ct.org in order to see a town near you. We are now officially up to 8 locations. We might possibly by the end of today have 10, and then that's it. We're cutting it off because we are 2 weeks and 3 days away. So we do have locations all across the state of Connecticut, Hartford, Danbury, Stamford, Stratford, New Haven, Mansfield. And the times for the event for April 3rd vary. We are technically launching our Morning Without Childcare event April 2nd. I know that sounds a little weird, but we want to make sure that this day of action is as inclusive as possible and really incorporates as many providers and parents as possible. We don't want to detract from anyone attending. So yes, we are launching our day of action, Morning Without Childcare, April 2nd in Mansfield at 5 p.m. So if you are around and you would like to engage in that action, please come on by to the Mansfield Child Care Depot. And we're there. You can find more information for all locations again at the childcare4ct.org website. So please share with your parents, share with your staff, as far and wide. Anyone who cares about fully funding childcare is invited. Another reminder that this day of action is not a work stoppage sponsored by our coalition or a strike. This is a friendly day of action, friendly in the sense that it's a family environment, environment where we're trying to, of course, make demands and fight for the cause, but we are not supporting in any which way people shutting down for a full day. If you as a child care center owner, operator decide to shut down in order to participate or to host an event, that is all within your right. We just don't want to get into a situation where any of you get in trouble with OEC or any state agency for closing for a day because you're collecting a subsidy and you're part of the union. So that's a very big point of clarification. This is not a work stoppage, so anyone's invited and welcome to participate. That's my update. So I'll pass it over to Meryl before we close for the day.
Okay. So today the Education Committee is meeting to vote on 3 bills. SB 5, which would includes a provision that would make all children born on Husky starting last July eligible for Care for Kids. SB 286, which includes the provision saying that all early educators will be paid on the OEC compensation scale, and HB 5436, which would sweep any unexpended early childhood funds into the Early Childhood Fund, which is a non-lapsing fund going on. So we don't know whether there's any substitute language for those bills, but that we should know by the end of the day whether or not those bills are still alive. There is one more public hearing coming up on the 28th of March, which will be before the Finance Committee. This is about creating a robust early childhood fund to support the industry. It is still not, it's still fairly nebulous in that there's not clear things as to what the money must be spent on or what the money can't be spent on. So it's a perfect opportunity for all of us who know that there needs to be more money in the system to come and testify about those needs, whether it's the ability to pay staff more, whether it's the ability to expand capacity to serve families who haven't been able to get care, or it's the need for subsidy so that parents can afford care. All of those are fair game. So on the 28th, we're expecting we'll have a lot of people testifying. And on Friday morning, I'm going to try and do a webinar on how to testify, sort of thinking about what you want to write in your testimony and what you might want to say if you can do it live. We'd like to have as many people testify. You can testify on Zoom, so you don't have to drive to Hartford. So that's all coming up. I'm going to stick my contact information in the chat. If you are interested in that webinar, we haven't got it scheduled yet, so I want to just be able to put it into, contact me and we'll make sure you get an invite. So why is typing in the wrong keyboard here? Sorry. I'll just stick this in the chat. And anybody has any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them.
We were both putting stuff on the chat at the same time.
Okay.
Let's see if there's any questions right here. Please post. Yes. So Lynn wants you to post the bill number. I think from the information on the chat, it has your contact, Meryl. Could you post bill numbers, or will people be receiving an email with that?
I'll post the bill numbers, but I'll also do an update to the listserv once we know what bills have passed.
Okay. Awesome. I know also that Meryl's group, the Early Childhood Alliance, has been really hard at work in creating a testimony builder for particular bills, as well as a fact sheet and a handout that you can review just to have a better understanding of what those bills, certain bills have and what they incorporate. So because Meryl's organization, as well as two other partnering organizations with a coalition, have also done similar work on specific bills, on the Child Care for Connecticut's Future side, we will make sure that we will email anyone on our listserv the Alliance's links, as well as voices or any other bills that pertain to early care and education. So that testimony builder link, as well as the fact sheets, will go out in our next email, letting everyone know what's happening and how they could submit testimony. And Meryl did just put the information in. Meryl, I'm just going to copy paste that because you put it in to the panelist
just
chat.
to you. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
No worries. We got you.
Camera on my laptop died this morning, so I'm trying to do everything on a tablet. That's a little bit weird.
No, that's what we're here for. Okay, so here is the information Meryl would like to share with you guys. Everyone should see it. Yep, everyone should see it. And again, if you have any questions, oh, you also put your email on direct. Okay.
Oh,
I got you, Meryl. It's okay, Meryl. I got you. That when we're chatting with each other, updating each other on details, it goes into a panelist chat or a private chat rather than the everyone chat. So I'm just moving that information that Meryl just sent to me to everyone there. So it's there now for you guys to access. If you want to access these details later and you forget and you didn't save it, all of our chats for all of our Early Care Connection Monday calls are also added to our YouTube channel and also added to our website. So if you're really busy and you're listening because you're with the kiddos, maybe you have one earpiece on and you can't really jot it down, no worries. You can come back to this later on our website and grab that information. It has the bill numbers as well as Meryl's contact, but be on the lookout for some emails from our individual organizations or the EC listserv for those details as well. Okay, anything else, Meryl?
nope, I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Izzy had an appointment she has to dash off to. So again, thanks to United Way for sharing that presentation. We will ask United Way when they're ready to come back to share the parent side. And we do hope to see you guys next Monday. We are waiting to confirm DCF to have them on to continue that conversation we had a few weeks ago regarding the transition of DCF payments. So please be on our lookout. We do have now a calendar of guest speakers. And of course, we will always either email you the day before or the morning of, or both, letting you know which panelists, which guests we have confirmed for the day. But we right now have, we're looking at, just because I know we have some confirmations here, for the 25th, for 100% triple confirmed, we are doing a segment on how to do savings and how to do better savings, and also how to make sure that you're connected to tax experts. It is tax season, in between all of this chaos of planning for actions and also trying to make sure that we are, attending legislative conversations in session. Most of you are doing your taxes or hopefully are close to completing your taxes. But if you still have some curiosities or you haven't connected with a professional, then we'll have some experts talking about, some services that are free with the state of Connecticut to get you on track with your taxes. And we'll also have some amazing representatives that help you do some financial planning and savings, also free to connect with them. So we'll see you next Monday, and we'll let you know when we have a DCF for another Monday call. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.